Hi, Miss Marion here. We're going to go over Unit 5, Lesson 11 through 16 quiz. This is one that we took last week and go through the questions. We've done some of these if you were in class, and then if you were not, then we're going to go ahead and go through them again. You'll need a piece of paper. You also need a calculator to go ahead and do these. All right, here is number 1. It says we have two cylinders, A and B. Each started with a different amount of water. The graph shows how the height of the water changes as the volume water kind of increases. So we're checking to see which one would actually be true with this graph. So the first part says cylinder A is a cylinder with more height than the cylinder with the smaller height and would have more volume of water when added to the same amount of water to both cylinders. Okay, does that actually make sense? So it doesn't have the same amount kind of being added. Does that really work with this statement? Not really. Okay, so I'm going to read the second statement and then kind of figure out which one is true. So it says cylinder B is a cylinder with a large radius and would have a smaller change in height for the same volume of water added when compared to the cylinder with a smaller radius. Okay, so it has a bigger radius, and it actually goes up really, really slowly. Is pretty much what it's trying to say. So that one makes a little bit more sense. The one before, where it says it's a cylinder with more height than the cylinder with a smaller height, and would have more volume of water when added. This one actually has a smaller height, not a larger, so that doesn't work either. So that's why this bottom one actually does work for this graph. All right, let's look at number 2. It says here a box of pasta, the cylinder, and a cylinder container. Two objects have the same height. The cylinder is just wide enough that you take the box and you can put it in the cylinder kind of stuff. So I kind of take the pasta box and I put it into the jar, if you want to think it that way. And it's touching all sides. It says if the pasta box holds 8 cups of rice, so we have 8 cups of rice for the pasta box. Okay, estimate how much the cylinder will be. So if I take the box and put it in there, are they going to be exactly the same? Let's kind of go through them. Are they going to be exactly the same? No, they're not going to. They're going to have different amounts. Okay. Let's go through the next one. Is it going to be smaller? No, because the pasta box actually fits inside of the jar, so it's not going to be smaller. And then now we can choose from 19 cups or 11 cups. So is it going to be twice as big, or like bigger than twice as big, or just a little bit smaller, or a little bit amount bigger? So it's actually going to be 11 cups, not the 19 cups, because if it actually sits inside of it, it's not going to be like double the amount. It's only going to be slightly bigger. So that's why the 11 cups works for this question. All right, here is number 3. The cylinder has a height of 7, radius of 4. It says, what is the area of the base of the cylinder? So remember that the base of the cylinder, it is a circle. Okay? How do we find the area of a circle? So area of a circle is pi times radius squared. Okay? So let's put in the information. We're going to say 3.14 times our radius is 4 and then squared. Grab a calculator and we're going to do 3.14 times 4 squared. And what do we get? That's 50.24. So 50.27 is if you use the pi button. It also took it as 50.24 also as an answer. It actually took a couple of things on there. And again, we did want the 2 decimal places. We have the 2 decimal places. Awesome. So here we have the same cylinder. It has a height of 7, radius of 4. Now we're looking for the volume. Okay, so because it says how many cubic centimeters of fluid can fill the cylinder, we're looking for the volume. Remember, volume of a cylinder is pi times radius squared times height. So that's going to be 3.14 times 4 squared times 7. Put it in your calculator. So 3.14 times 4 squared times 7. Press enter. This is 351.68. Okay. The 351.86, this is if you use the pi button. This is if you use 3.14. Again, it took both answers. All right, moving along. We have a different one. So we have a cylinder. Volume of that cylinder is 12 pi. Diameter is 4. And we're going to be looking for both the radius and the height. So if my diameter is 4, my radius is going to be our diameter divided by 2. So we're going to have 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So notice how my radius is 2. So going along with that same one, we have, again, our volume is 12 pi. We have a diameter of 4, so it makes our radius 2. And we're looking for the height. So we're like, our height is a question mark. So we know the equation for a volume of a cylinder is pi times radius squared times height. And let's put in the information that we know. Our volume is 12 pi. We still have pi. We're going to leave the pi buttons there, okay? The pi symbols there. And then our radius is 2 squared times height. 2 squared is 4. So we have 4 pi times h, and then we have 12 pi. Because the 4 pi is multiplying the h, we're going to divide by 4 pi on both sides of the equation. And I'll show you why in a second. 4 divided by 4 is 1. We cross it out. Pi divided by pi is 1. We cross it out. Pi divided by pi is 1. So really we have 12 divided by 4. So what is 12 divided by 4? That is 3. So our height is 3. All right, number 7. It says a cone with the same base but a height 3 times taller than the given cylinder exists. What is the volume of each figure? So first of all, we want to figure out the volume of the cylinder. Okay? So volume of the cylinder, so remember it's pi times radius squared times height. So we have 3.14 times our radius is 3. So we have 3 squared. Our height is 4. Put it in your calculator. Times 3 squared times 4. Okay? And we can have it as 113.04. That is using 3.14. Notice we can also, if you use our pi button, we need to round it. So remember, we have to round it to the nearest hundredths place. Okay? So if I did use the pi button, if I did pi button times 3 squared times 4, you are going, so this is with the pi times 3 squared times 4. So this is using the pi button. You will get 113.09733. Keep on going, right? So we want the 9 position. We're going to look at the 7. So a 7, 5 or above. Yes, give the original a shove. Meaning you're going to take the 9 and you're going to make it a 10. So that's why we have 113.1, and we can also have it as 10. That's the reason why we have this answer, not 113.09, is because it's the rounding issue. We're rounding it to the nearest hundredths place, which is 2 decimal places. All right, so now let's talk about the cone. It says that the cone has a height 3 times taller than the given cylinder exists. So with the cylinder, my height is 4. So with my cone, my height is going to be 3 times what is given to me. What is given to me? It is 4. So my height is actually going to be 12. Remember, our formula is going to be 1/3 times pi times radius squared times height. So we're going to have 1/3 times 3.14 times our radius is 3 squared, and then times height is 12. Okay? Put it in your calculator. 1/3 times 3.14 times 3 squared times 12. We're going to get 113.04. This is our answer if we used our pi, our 3.14 for pi. Again, it's 13.1 or 13.10 if we use the pi button. It took both. And remember, you're rounding it to nearest hundredths place. So that is 2 decimal places. All right, last question. It says, Noah and Lynn are making paper cones to hold popcorn to hand out at the math parent meeting. It says that the cone needs to hold 9 pi. So that's the volume, and it is a cone. And then we're going to see if these measurements for both height and radius works. Okay, so remember we have volume for a cone is 1/3 times 3.14. Actually, we're going to leave it as the pi symbol because we have 9 pi. So we'll leave it with the pi symbol times radius squared times height. So the first one, if we look at it, it says our height is 3, radius is 3. Let's try that. So we're going to say 1/3 times, we're going to say 3 squared times 3, and then we leave that pi at the button, at the end. So you're just going to multiply. Let's make that a little bit better. That is 3 squared, just so you know. So we're going to take just the numbers, 1/3 times 3 squared times 3. And we are going to get 9, and we're just going to leave that pi there. Did that make 9 pi that we're looking for? Yes, that is why it's clicked. Number 2, it says our radius is 2, height is 6.75. So we're going to multiply 1/3 times 2 squared times 6.75. And then the pi symbol is going to sit there. So 1/3 times 2 squared times 6.75. We get 9, and then the pi symbol is going to sit there. That works. Next one, our radius 1, height is 27. Again, let's put it in. So we have 1/3 times 1 squared times 27. Pi symbol sits there. So 1/3 times 1 squared times 27. You get 9. Pi symbol's there. Is that what we're looking for? Yes. Next one, radius is 9, height is 1/3. So we're going to say 1/3 times 9 squared times 1/3. Pi symbol sits there. So putting in your calculator, 1/3 times 9 squared times 1/3. We get 9 with a pi. Does this work? Awesome. Okay, let's look at the last one. So we're going to have 1/3. Radius is 9 squared. Height is 27 with the pi symbol sitting there. Do 1/3 times 9 squared times 27. What do we get? 729 pi. Does this work? Are we does that 9 pi is what we're looking for? No, it's not. So notice how this is the only one that did not work. That's why we did not click it. So hopefully you understand the quiz a little bit better. The last day you can go ahead and retake this quiz is next Monday at 3 o'clock. So locks at 3 o'clock. So make sure you go through this. So hopefully you can go ahead and retake it. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.